Hi, my name is Chris Brennan, and in this series of videos I'm going to be talking about the history, philosophy, and techniques of astrology. So I wanted to start this series by first defining my subject by giving a broad definition of what astrology is. So according to my definition, astrology is the study of the correlation between celestial movements and earthly events. So that's really, if you boil it down, the fundamental premise of just about every form of astrology around the world, that there is an observable correlation between things that happen in the sky, so celestial movements, and things that happen on Earth, which is to say earthly events. Now, I acknowledge that this definition of astrology is a little bit broad, or it may come off as or seem very broad at first, but what it lacks in terms of specificity, it actually gains or makes up for in terms of its accuracy. And the reason for that is that most contemporary definitions of astrology, especially if you look it up in a dictionary or on most sort of major websites where you might go to look up the definition of something, they usually define astrology as the study of the supposed influences that celestial bodies have on earthly events. And the problem with this definition is that it actually ignores a long-standing debate in the astrological community over the past 2,000 years over whether celestial bodies and the other things that astrologers study are causes of the events that they correlate with, or if they merely indicate or act as signs or omens of the events or the things that they correlate with. So basically, it's a long-standing debate about the mechanism underlying astrology, or why it is that astrologers think that astrology works. So it's important then to define astrology broadly in the way that I have, because then this definition encompasses both groups of astrologers, both those who think that astrology works as a result of some direct or indirect celestial influences that are exerted by things like the planets in our solar system, but it also accounts for those who think that the planets and the stars do not cause events, but instead they just signify or indicate things that will occur, sort of like the clock, sort of like a clock on the wall indicates that it's 9 o'clock in the morning without it necessarily being the cause or the reason that it's 9 o'clock in the morning. So for that reason, I adopt that very broad definition of astrology. It's the study of the correlation between celestial movements and earthly events. And of course, as part of that, it presumes that there is indeed either a constant or sporadic, but surely reoccurring correlation between things that happen in the sky and things that happen on Earth. Now, there's different ways in which you can further specify that, and in future videos, we'll talk a little bit about different traditions of astrology and different branches of Western astrology. So, for example, different traditions of astrology are generally different types of astrology that have been practiced in different eras and in different geographical locations. So, for example, Chinese astrology or Mesoamerican astrology or Egyptian astrology. So all of these are different types of astrology that were practiced in different geographical areas by different cultures. And there's also ways to subdivide different traditions of astrology within a geographical area. So for example, Western astrology is typically broken up into different periods, different time periods, or different eras, such as Hellenistic astrology or medieval astrology or Renaissance astrology or modern astrology. Additionally, there's different applications or different branches of astrology. So for example, traditionally in the West, in Western astrology, there's traditionally been about 4 branches of Western astrology for the past 1,000 years or so. So those branches are mundane astrology, natal astrology, electional astrology, and horary astrology. So in future videos, we'll get into some of those different traditions of astrology and some of those different branches or applications of astrology. But for now, it's important to just lay a very broad foundation by defining astrology itself as the study of the correlation between celestial movements and earthly events. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.